there seems to be still some frustration maybe amongst some voters about maybe some cynicism about kind of what's going on. And Bob Kyle writes in from Denver saying, in today's world of politics, campaigns, words he uses, it appears many put self and party, his words, ahead of what is best for the nation. Do you feel there are any truth statesmen left?
There are, but I think the writer has a point. I have covered Washington for some time, and I've never seen it so poisonous. It has changed a lot. And there are people who do not have a tendency to find common ground, to reach across the aisle. It has become much more partisan, and it makes it much more difficult to engage big issues and find solutions that deal with big issues.
Speaking to that, Christine Kruger from Aurora says, it seems to me we need a moderate independent party. So many of my friends are disenfranchised. What she'd like to know is, do you foresee any kind of a real independent political party emerging in the future?
This year, there was a lot of speculation about Mike Bloomberg, mayor of New York, running. South Finance, he's a billionaire, but he has decided not to run as an independent. Now that Ralph Nader will run, and there'll be other candidates running, a whole variety of parties, but I do not see a serious independent effort a la Ross Perot back in 1992.
Is it in part because these campaigns are going so long now that people tend to become maybe a little disenfranchised by it?
Well, it's difficult to get on the ballot in all 50 states. You know, the two parties, the Republicans and Democrats, control the apparatus in each of the 50 states, one party or the other. And so it's not easy for an independent party to make headway on that. It's also expensive. And throughout our history, we've had third parties emerge. None of them have been successful in capturing the White House. They have won several governorships throughout the country, but not the White House.
You'll obviously be back here in August for the Democratic National Convention. This question
convention here in Denver.
I've heard something about that. Yeah, we haven't.
Can't wait.
We don't know who it's going to be just yet, and that's kind of what this question speaks to. From Ta writes in saying, the question is, how democratic, his words, small d, is the Democratic Party, which has created a system through the superdelegates by which only a few can decide for the many?
It's going to be an interesting issue. And I've been covering that very actively because Obama is now ahead in superdelegates, in elected delegates as we sit here and speak, by about 160. And Clinton is ahead in superdelegates by about 30. So net superdelegates, elected delegates, Obama has 130 lead. Of the remaining superdelegates who are undecided, about 350, Obama needs about a third of those to be nominated. Clinton needs 2/3. And then you look at the number of states won or contests won. Obama has won 28, Clinton 14. The cumulative popular vote before Pennsylvania, Obama is up by about 700,000 votes. So by all the metrics, Obama has one more delegates, one more states, one more cumulative popular vote. If the superdelegates decide here in Denver to not give him the nomination but to give it to Senator Clinton for other reasons, it'll be an interesting convention to cover from our perspective.
Do you sense it gets there? I mean, are we going to have a nominee?
It depends what happens in Pennsylvania, Indiana, North Carolina. Pennsylvania is April 22, Pennsylvania and North Carolina, Indiana on May 6th. If Senator Clinton sweeps all those and gets some momentum, I think she'll win West Virginia, Kentucky after that. If that influences the polls and she tries to make to the superdelegates the case that she's a stronger candidate, who knows? If Obama wins North Carolina and Montana and South Dakota and has more delegates, more contest won, more cumulative popular vote, I think it's very difficult for superdelegates to take a nomination away. In fact, I think if he wins North Carolina in a pretty comfortable way, you'll see a lot of superdelegates start moving towards him.
Scott DeLuise writes in with a question that I tend to get asked a lot whenever you cover politics. I imagine you get asked this too. His question is, how do you maintain journalistic impartiality while pursuing highly emotional issues with elected appointed officials?
It's important that you do that. What I have done is I read the New York Times and the Washington Times. I read the New Republic and the National Review. I read everything I get my hands on, left, right, center. Many of my friends say that I now have confused myself because I really do try to understand different ideologies, different philosophies. When I took over Meet the Press, I had a chance to sit with the founder, Lawrence Spivak, who started Meet the Press 60 years ago. And he said the mission is learn as much as you can about the issues and about your guest and his and her position on the issues, and then take the other side. And do that in a persistent way, in a civil way. And if you do that every week, you're going to be fair but persistent with Republicans, Democrats, Independents. I think there's one simple premise, and that politicians cannot make tough decisions unless they can answer tough questions. And it's our job to pose tough questions and give them a chance to answer them.
We have more tough questions coming up for Tim Russert, including one from Brian Olson about the future of network news, and one from Bill Atkins, who wants to know what happens during the commercial break on Meet the Press. We'll be right back.